All right, welcome everybody to Mitch Maeli Live. We got some awesome stuff for you today. So we are going to be talking about business credit, and we have some incredible guest speakers to share with you today. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of our announcements. So, of course, as usual, we are here every Wednesday. So make sure you mark your calendars Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can join us on the Zoom call by going to Mitch Maeli Live at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Or you can join us on YouTube Live if you just want to watch and don't necessarily want to interact. That's a great way to do it. But we also have tomorrow, if you are in the Utah area, tomorrow we will be having our live student mastermind in Murray at Maeli's Brokerage, Real Estate Essentials, at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So make sure you join us. It's a great place to network with other like-minded individuals, other real estate investors. It's also a great place to come and learn. We've got workshops going on. We've got multiple workshops going on at that location every single week. So join us tomorrow night, 7 p.m. live and in person in Murray, Utah, if you're in the area. And then we've got Nationals coming up. Nationals is this month. So we have on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we have the CEO of Renatus, Bob Snyder, will be joining us, the president, Jay Stark, and all of the brass from around the country are going to be coming into town to talk to us. It's going to be held here in Layton, Utah. I think Maeli and I are like the closest Renatus students to where we can walk over while other people are flying in. But we want you to join us. It's going to be awesome. Make sure that you, if you want information on how to join us at the Renatus Nationals, there's 3 solid days of training from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Friday, we're doing a banquet from 6 p.m. into the wee hours of the morning. Love the banquet. It's formal. I'll get to dress in my bow tie. And we get to have some fun. So there's an award ceremony, the whole gambit. You're not going to want to miss it. A lot of really amazing real estate investors you're going to get to network with. And let's see, Maeli, are there any other announcements that we need to go over?
I have a couple. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so we all are. First off, I have an announcement. Look at my background. Look how freaking cute my office is. I have to show. Okay, I won't today. I won't do it. But follow me on Instagram tomorrow because I'm actually gonna do a full tour of like my cute office. So Mitch just did this for me. It's so cute. Look at how fun the trim is. And I'm not orange anywhere because I have a new computer. Is that not nice? This is a big announcement. So very grateful. Thank you, Henny, for building out my princess room. It really is so cute. So it's gold and pink. Like you can't get more.
Can't get
You
more
can't,
Barbie than that.
you can't get more obnoxiously girly and, princessy than that. And so there you go. That's what I have. And I love every second of it. So I'm very grateful. When we actually have like the before and after, so I'll show you guys that too, because that's really fun. And then on that note of being a princess, we are not just princesses, we are also queens. And I had the opportunity recently to meet with the owners and founders of Everyday Women, and they gave us the opportunity as founding women in our creating our empire group to be in a story together. So I don't know if you can see. Oh, look at my camera. Oh my gosh, I love my new computer. Like you can see this. Awesome. So maybe it's backwards though. Is it backwards too?
Nope. We can see it.
No, right? Oh,
Yep.
nice. So tried to put the link in there in the comments, but it didn't let me. But I'll try it again here in a second. But if you are a female entrepreneur and or just a storyteller, someone that's striving to get your story out there and be somebody that is really excited about sharing your message, then I would love for you to join us. So there's only 25 slots, and we do have all but 5 filled. So I'm looking for the final 5 ladies to come and hang out with us. We get a share in the paying of the purchase price of the book to become a #1 best-selling author. It usually costs between $35,000 and $45,000. It's expensive. It is. And this way, it's really cheap because we're only doing 1 chapter per person. And so it's really easy because you only have to write 1 chapter. And it's not very expensive because we're all sharing in the love. So come and hang out with us. I'll put the link in the description. I'll figure out how to do that. And if you're, inclined to share your story, if you don't even know how to tell your story, it's okay. That's what they're your experts at creating, first off, #1 best-selling authors, but also helping us tell our story in only 1,500 words. So we'd love to have you come and play with us. And then definitely come and hang out with us on Thursday, tomorrow, at our mastermind, because we have a good time there and you learn a lot. So I'm looking at you, Samantha. I'm looking at you. She's like, okay. All right. Okay, Kim, too. I don't know who else is on here. Melissa, telling you, You guys got to come play with us. This is gonna be so fun. Allison, well, you're already a number one best-selling author, but you should come play with us anyway.
Missy's on here too. Missy Ringer.
Missy, where is she? Yes, you me too, Missy. Actually, we've already talked, so I think you're on board. So that's great. Okay, talk soon, loves.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we guys, we have some awesome guest speakers for you today, and they're going to be teaching us about business credit and raising capital. Now, how important is this as real estate investors starting out, or if we're leveling up on our real estate investing career? Like, we need to understand how to gain access to money, and I can't think of anybody more qualified than the two guest speakers that we have on today. And guys, I don't know, some of you know this, some of you don't. I have been working on, Mailey and I have been working on building a $24 million private equity fund. And these two gentlemen happen to be partners of mine in this private equity fund. And they are, there's no way I could do this on my own. I mean, if we didn't have Marcus and Mike on the team, like, we might as well be, starting $1 trillion private equity fund because nothing would happen. So, but these guys are experts. They know what they're talking about, and their background is in business credit. And so, like I said, there's nobody more qualified to talk to you about this stuff. I'm not going to belabor the point here. I'm going to let them tell their story. So let's have you guys come on out. Marcus, Mike. So we got Mike Irizarry. I'm adding him to Spotlight now, and we got Marcus Wendt. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
We
yeah,
really
we're very,
appreciate it.
very excited. And just so everybody knows, they've both informed us of the progress that they've been, you know, with teaching you guys as students and getting into the whole investment world. Like when you break it, like when you get out of that old mindset of like the 9 to 5, you realize there's so much more opportunity out there to really scale your wealth. And, the goal is to build generational wealth. It's just a fantastic thing, and we're very fortunate and very, very blessed that Mitch and Maeli have invited us here to talk. And so I guarantee that everybody in this call is going to walk away with some really good, knowledgeable nuggets, like the gold nuggets, and your view on the banking system and how banking and funding and like raising capital works. Like you'll never be able to look back, and it's going to help you in your endeavors when you start doing your first investment project in a real estate deal, whether you're doing a fix and flip like with Mitch Maeli, or with the seller finance, or you're looking to rent out an Airbnb. So you're going to really walk away with some good nuggets here. And I'm going to let the CEO of Gateway Capital Growth, which is our company, Michael Irizarry, kind of take it away in terms of his background, where he comes from, in terms of the banking stuff. He's the gangster with that stuff. I'm more like on the pitch deck, investor relations stuff. But when it comes to the banking system, like this is the go-to guy. So Mike, take it away.
Again, want to say, Mitch, Maeli, thank you for having us here today. We really appreciate it. Giving back to the community when it is what we do. We work with a lot of clients that are, have $1 million businesses all the time, but it's always good that we always think it's good to step back and always give as much knowledge as possible. Because, when I first started getting into the investment world, starting getting into banking and raising capital, there was a lot. I know people that are in finance that don't even know what it is how we do what we do, and they're financial planners. So when you think about like finance in a spectrum, there's so many different avenues you can take, and you still won't know all of it. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned doing what I do. So what we do is we help people get access from anywhere from 50,000 all the way up to 250,000 at 0% interest financing. So what that means is we use people's creditworthiness to help them get access to this money. So sometimes it's not just that simple. We have people that come to us that are a bit more aggressive, that want to raise on the first go around 100,000, 200,000. And sometimes they have great credit profiles, but they're not positioning themselves correct with the banks. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a case study, and we're going to talk about one of our clients that came on board. He had a very bad credit utilization. It was about 101. How we ended up raising money through friends and family to get to pay that down, to then get access to $150,000 in credit, and then he was able to pay back his debts to his family with that business credit, and then also he's financing it for 12 to 24 months. There's banks out there that'll give you financing up to 12 months. There's strategies to increase that up to 24 if you know what you're doing. Obviously, we all know to be able to get access to those strategies, you have to pay your bills. So it's not like, okay, I can finance it for 12 months and then miss a couple payments here and there, and then they're going to give me another 12. No, you have to make sure you follow the strategy, you pay your bills, and you can always get more money. Some circumstances, depending on how lucrative your business is, you'll see you can do funding every 6 months. So that's also a plus. All right. So Marcus, do you want to say anything, or I'm going to get right into this?
Yeah, are we going to share the screen? I think we can share the screen, right?
Yeah.
Do we have screen sharing permissions, Mitch and Melee?
Yeah, I already got it.
Yeah, you're good
Okay.
to go.
Yeah, so just to let you guys know, the case study is actually my case study, my situation. How I almost went bankrupt, almost was dead, like from a financial perspective, right? Would have lost everything after working for the last 5 years. And Mike came in and saved my butt. And yeah, so it's gonna be really cool to see how he breaks down my journey. That's me and my friends when we were in Vietnam. And yeah, so just want to let you guys know this is my case study coming from the verge of death. No joke. Like I cried, I was down in the gutter. I thought I had to close everything down. I was about to stop in bankruptcy lawyers, the whole kit and caboodle. And Mike's like, "Don't worry, I think I can get you out of this," and he did. And now we're in a way different ballgame. So go for it, Mike.
100%. Yeah, so like he said, he was actually going through a really rough patch. He was running a digital marketing company at the time, and he was trying to find a good product. So what he did, which if I would have met him prior to him doing this, he wouldn't have been in this situation. He started financing everything with his personal credit. You guys all know it, being in real estate, understanding this, the higher your utilization is, the harder it is for you to do things like get approved for loans, get approved for a mortgage, anything. You have high utilization, they flag you, you're a red flag in their eyes, right? So Marcus, he started going through this rough patch where he was burning through his capital. 2 years went down the line. He finally found the perfect product. And at that time, he already over leveraged himself. So that was the point where he started having to speak to bankruptcy lawyers and seeing what options were to get out. We started working together. He told me a bit about what he had going on, and I said, "Look, you have perfect credit. Like when you when you talk about somebody who's ideal, that has perfect payment history, the only wrong thing that he has on his credit profile is his utilization." We were like, "Okay, what is the strategy to do?" I'm like, "Marcus, do you know anybody?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can speak to my parents." He ended up raising $50,000 through his parents. I'm like, "Okay, we need to get the other half." So we started connecting with a whole bunch of different people that he knew. And one of his friends is like, "Look, I have some money. I can let you hold it, but I also want a return." So it's like come out of the hole for a return or just stay where you're at and then just go through a bankruptcy. So we're like, "Okay, what do you want?" He asked for 7 grand. Correct, Marcus? He wanted 7 grand on.
Yeah, 7 grand for interest, up to 50 grand.
Okay. So off of 50 grand, he allowed us to hold his money for about 6 months because I told him, I said, this program is going to be a bit longer because we're going to pay down your utilization and we're going to wait. There's a 3 month wait, 2 to 3 month wait. And he's like, "What are we waiting for?" I'm like, "Look, you're going to know what we're waiting for when it starts showing." He's like, "Okay." So what we were waiting for is he got an offer letter in the mail to give him more credit now. So as we paid it down, he started getting offer letters. And I'm like, "Okay, this is what we were waiting for." He's like, "What does that mean, Mike?" I was like, "Okay, we're going into funding now. Like we can get you money now because the banks are seeing you pay down this debt. It's not a fluke because the credit bureaus, they work in trends. So like if they see that you pay down this very big limit and then you go back to spending limits, they're gonna be like, okay, that's a red flag. He just paid it off and he's back to where he was." So we followed the trend and then we started going into funding. So I want to go a little bit down now, and then I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the strategy through phase one, getting his credit utilization under 10%. So there's key factors in a credit profile, and I'm going to just go over them. Since Marcus only had one, it was his utilization, right? There's key factors. You have payment history, you have credit utilization, you have length of credit history, you have types of credit in use, and new credit. So each of those are a factor of your credit profile. So you have your credit utilization being one of the largest, being at 30%. So you could see how if Marcus decides to maximize his credit profile, that'll greatly decrease his credit history or his utilization. and his credit score is going to drop. Where his was at was a 561. So his dropped all the way from an 800 to a 561. So since that was his only problem, we paid that off, and then we had to keep his monthly utilization low. The reason why we wanted to do that, obviously, is what we said. It was the trends. So if you're following a trend, if you keep your utilization low, then they're going to say, okay, he's trustworthy, he's bankable. So if you want to get into the 800 club, so if everybody here has credit cards and you want to get into the 800 club, generally you maintain a 3 to 8% utilization over all of your cards. So if you're like wondering to yourself, okay, how do I take my credit to the next level? That is a key point, right? Make sure you keep it from 3 to 8%. There are other factors in a credit profile that I'm just going to go over with you while we're here. So, uh, they say a thick credit profile is anywhere from 10 to 12 accounts, depending on what type of accounts you have going on, right? Not everybody has the money, or not everybody has a mortgage. So that's not one of the key bankable factors. So generally, they want to see installment loans, at least 4 revolving lines of credit. So that can be like a Chase credit card, a secured card. They have lines of credit through these banking institutions as well. And then you want to see like a store card, like your Best Buys, or, a dual branded card like a Home Depot card, something like that. That's what they'll want to see on there. Obviously, if you have a personal loan, generally speaking, always want to have some type of an installment loan on your credit profile, like a personal, because they see that you're maintaining multiple different mixes of on your credit profile. So a mix of credit on your credit profile. Um, so anything under that is sometimes a bit rough when trying to get access to money. You can also, if you're renting, if anybody in here is renting, you can report your rent. So that it's like, and that they also do things like, so when you report your rent, let's say you're paying $3,000 a month, right? They actually backdate that rent payment up to 2 years. So if you've been at the place for 2 years, or if you've been in locations for 2 years, that can actually give you a very large trade line. So if you paid 3,000 for 2 years, you can report a $72,000 trade line on your credit profile. A trade line is considered just like another form of saying like credit card installment loan. They call them trade lines on the credit profile. But doing something like that can give you access to a length of your credit history. So increasing your credit history, the average length of your history. A good length in history is anything over 1 to 2 years. Most people nowadays don't even know how to increase their credit history or what accounts they should associate to get larger limits. Is that making sense so far? Perfect.
Yeah, sounded good, my man. I love it.
All right, cool. Um, one thing that we also did when we brought Marcus on board is when we were doing this, we put all his payments on autopay. So the reason of this, it's probably the most important. If you miss a payment and you're trying to get access to money, that can drop your credit score on average about 100 points. So if you're a 740 and you miss a payment just because, oh, but I forgot to pay my Discover card, you're going to drop 100 points. And now you're going to have to wait, 3 to 6 months, potentially even speak to a credit repair company to try to help remove that, or try to go into some negotiation, help get that fixed.
I do. I have a question, my
Yeah.
friend. So,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, we're gonna get into the weeds here because, right, we've been through the process.
Yeah.
So, if somebody has credit, or excuse me, like they have a credit card and then like they just don't pay it on time because auto pay is extremely important. I respect that. But then like it's only been like 5 days and they make the payment. What happens?
So most of the time, like I've seen instances in the past where they instantly report late, but they're supposed to wait the 30-day interval from that payment date. So like that's why they started implementing the late fees. Like, okay, you're late, but I'm gonna give you a late fee. You're not gonna get a late payment if you're 15 days past. It's gonna be that whole 30-day interval. And if they do report that that it's a late payment, early, you can actually dispute it and they have to remove it by law.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Do you know how to do that? Is that part of your kind of thing?
yeah, so we actually do credit repair as well. So on top of doing business funding, we also include credit repair with what it is that we do. So it's like it goes hand in hand. So one of the things that we did for Marcus as well was the next part was remove his inquiries. And we did that through our credit repair company. It was important for us to remove those low-hanging fruits because Marcus could have a great credit profile, but
Right.
some banks don't want to work with you because you have just too many inquiries. They're just looking at you like you're cash grabbing. And
Yeah.
that's it. You got to be very strategic on how many inquiries you have. One of the strategies that we implement is depending on your geological location. So, like, let's say you're in California, you're in New York, you're in Florida. We look at banks that are in your region, which you want to do research. Who is your community banks? Who are your credit unions in the area? And who are your primary banks, like your Chases and stuff? Like who's around you and what will they offer you? One of the things you can look at that is you can section out your applications for a lot of these things based on credit bureau itself, depending on the bank. So some banks will just pull Experian, some banks will pull TransUnion, some banks will pull Equifax. So it's if you really want to get involved and understand like how that can work, like just do your research, call up the customer service center, and that's another thing. So
Or just have you do it.
yeah, or just have me do it.
Well, I mean, right, that's part of what you do, right? Like you know
Yeah.
the process. Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah, yeah.
So if somebody is like, because I get this question all the time, and I think that this would be relatable, hopefully right now. So I get this question of like, okay, well, but do I need to be a seasoned business? Do I need to have like an established, 2, 3, 4 years in business, or what most people think is for sure at least 2 years in business? And from my understanding, from what I was told, so I would love some feedback here. It's like, oh yeah, no, actually, almost the newer the better ish, like 2, 3 months, maybe 3 to 4 months old, just because
Hmm.
there's no like history of you not doing what you're supposed to do. I don't know. What do you think
So
about
there's two parts to it,
it?
right?
Okay.
So the older your business and if you have good credit, the more you'll potentially get, as long as you can service the questions that they're asking. So they may ask for certain bank statements or may ask you to link your bank account.
Sure.
So like, but let me add on to that. If you know how to properly fill out an application, which my team and I have a strategy for, they generally don't ask for those documents. So it's knowing how to do it the right way. So it's not just going to the bank, it's actually properly knowing how to fill out an app. So there's that part. Okay,
Yeah.
so if now let's go to the other part, what you said. So if you have a new business, they won't ask you for these financial statements at all under 2 years. Like they won't ask you for any of that. So
Okay.
so there's you can do it on both sides, but just knowing the strategy behind it is how it works. So like new businesses, yeah, waiting 3 months is great because like you can establish, you can, set up your G Suite or make sure you have a business email, like make sure you have a business phone number. You got to make sure you look, you know, like an actual business, set yourself up, get a phone number, get an email, proper emails. You can get a 1-800 number. They like that. Post yourself
Yeah.
on Google. Just make sure they can find you. You don't have to go crazy, like go get an office. You don't have to do that. Like I've gotten funding for people who have a brick and mortars, but and then I also got funding for people who use their home address. So it
Yeah.
can go. It really depends on your credit worthiness. I would say like emphasis on the integrity of your credit that can push the needle, if that makes sense.
And you're saying that as long as it's not late payments, right? Like it's just because in your case, Marcus, it sounds like it was usage, right? And we've all felt
Yeah,
that as business owners.
yeah, I was at 101% utilization. This is
Yeah,
horrible, right? That's why it tanked me from the 780 that I'd always been for since I was like 20 to 561, right? And the only reason my parents came in and saved me, and a friend of mine also, they, to get cumulatively, I was able to raise 100,000 in capital to pay this utilization down. And only because everything else in my credit profile, I've never had a late payment. I followed the book, I did all the rules. Like within, what was it? I think within 15 days of paying that down, it shot up right up to 800. Boom, just like
Sure.
that. And
Yeah.
then we let Mike do his magic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, wildly amazing how this happens. I mean, yeah. Yes. It's awesome.
It's crazy. Just this first part that we're teaching you guys about is pretty impactful, but like wait till you hear about how to what an internal banking number is and how
Yeah.
to season a bank account.
Let's go.
Like some people don't know about that, and that's gonna take the difference between you guys going from a $5,000 credit card all the way up to like a $25,000 card. So that's just as important on the banking side as your personal credit is for you. So there's two other steps. We free secondary credit bureaus, primarily the ones that have direct communications with like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and those are like the Sage Streams, Innovis. Um, there's like 100 of them, but there's three primary ones. You have check systems. Um, so we freeze those, and then we put a dispute. When we do our disputes, we actually file also with the CFPB because through the Fair Credit Reporting Act, a lot of the credit bureaus aren't following proper dispute bylaws. So we send out certified mail. We pay $6.95 to mail these things out, and we get communications anywhere from with also backing that up with filing a dispute with the CFPB. We see communications anywhere from 14 to 20 days. So that's super important. Just going back and forth with the credit bureaus isn't enough. The CFPB is the governing party that actually makes the credit bureaus do what they got to do. They're like their bosses. They're auditors. So if you're complaining that they're not doing their job, that's where you want to go. Hand in hand on that. All right. We're going to talk about building relationships with the banks and what that looks like. So this is super, super, super important. If you have a bank account and you have a business bank account, right? If you're banking, let's say with Chase, you need to make sure you have a savings account, make sure you have a business bank account. If you can get a business savings account, that's great as well. Some things that you want to do is always put money into your savings. The savings accounts for these banks are like you're becoming an asset to them. So that actually increases your internal banking number if you put more money into your savings. Right. So don't always have money inside of if you know what you're going to be spending on a month in and month out, what your revenue is telling you to do, just put money to the side in your savings and leave it there. If like some of the other things that we do is also open up CDs. So we'll open up a CD, like a 6-month CD, a 3-month CD for $500 or $1,000. That also helps increase your internal banking number. Making sure that you set up direct deposit. If you guys have a 9 to 5, set up direct deposit. Properly make sure you're always putting money into your savings. If you consistently do this, right, this is you're planning your roots into the banking establishment, into the system. They look at you like you're not a fly by night that, oh, okay, he's just gonna come here and cash grab. So I made an example earlier to one of our clients. I said, you do these types of activities. You go there, you open up a checking. You open up a personal checking, a personal savings. You open up a business account. You get a CD, and let's say you get a small $500 loan, and your credit score is a 680, right? Or you have Marcus come. I'm gonna use him as an example. Let's say he has a 720 credit score, and all he does is open up a checking account. Who's more likely for the bank to want to work with, Marcus or me? I'm pretty sure they're going to want to work with me because I've already invested into them. I'm here. Marcus just opened up a checking. Yeah, he has great credit, but that's not gonna push the agenda. They will potentially even still deny him for certain products. But if 30 days down the line doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna get approved for higher limits than Marcus just coming off the street. That is a
It's
big,
it's the reputation relationships, right?
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So it's just
Yeah.
making sure that they know who you are, and obviously another good thing, if this is your primary bank, know who your bankers are. They're your best friends. Like, I've walked into banks with some of my clients and they were getting denied, and then we were smooth talking the business relations banker, and boom, instantly approved for 30,000 just because we built the relationship with him. Oh, I've been here for 5 years. Oh, I already have a credit card with you guys. My credit score is great. Just building it. They will go to bat for you. So that's the other part. So then we have a deposit strategy. So like we said, setting up your direct deposit. If you have any additional income, make sure you're depositing it. Putting it into your savings. If you don't need it, put it into your savings. Um, you know, Personally, I have quite a bit of banking relationships myself. So like if people come and work with us, I generally like, okay, we'll put you with Bank of America. Hey, we have a Chase guy. We have a Fifth Third person, PNC. So, our Rolodex of bankers are always growing as well. So just off of our integrity as well, you can also get approved for certain limits. It's how it is. It's all about who you know on that. And then um, go for the low-hanging fruit. You want to season the banks who have some of the better products. So like let's say, the Chases and the US banks, they have two products at 0% interest. They give car loans, they do business loans, they give lines of credit. They're the, you know, they're the tier one banks. So like your tier one banks, and then you'll have your tier twos and your tier three community banks. And then you're going to want to work with the ones that can best fit the needs of your business as well, on top of your creditworthiness. How's that sounding so far? Everybody's still good?
Heck yeah, man.
Awesome.
I'm soaking this stuff up. I'm learning so much. This is awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so I wanted to show you by doing those strategies, Marcus here's his score, April 26th, paying off the debt, June 11th, he went up to an 800, and that's when we started doing his applications. His first card, I think we went to US Bank because he had a longer relationship with them, and we spoke to the bankers there. He got approved for I believe it was two $25,000 cards, and then he went to Chase. That was his second strongest, but they gave him more money there, and he got a $40,000 card, and then he got a $32,000 card. So by us building Marcus up to be prepared, not just on the personal credit side, but on the business side, setting up those accounts, setting up the deposits, making sure he's doing what he has to do, he was able to procure over 150,000 and 0% interest financing, which then he started using to get into land deals. He just closed on two land deals for 20,000 each. They're doing new construction on it, so it's super exciting. And the good thing is, guys, like you're financing these cards, and sometimes Marcus, what are the minimum payments on your cards?
I think across all the cards that we have, maybe $1,600, $800, $1,800 a month. This is piddly. Piddly.
On how much did you deploy so far?
Uh, 90 something, I think.
So out of 90 something thousand that he
Yeah,
can,
100, close to
he's
100
gonna,
maybe,
he's,
little over 100, tiny
yeah.
bit.
So now you're financing that every month, 1,800, and then you're pretty much not having to fork the bill, coming out of pocket $90,000 to do what he's trying to do. Like,
Exactly. And to kind of build off of that, when you strategically and intelligently use those 0%, right? Again, this goes back, don't miss a payment, because if you miss a payment, they will take your 0% away. And imagine if you have 90,000 outstanding, then you're really in trouble, right? And so the land deal, we'll take the land deal, for example, right? There's some property, there's some plots of land that we bought, and it's real estate, right? We're also doing construction. We're doing a new construction bill with some more partners in Florida. And what is it, like 6 months, maybe 7 months is going to take to build?
yeah,
I think that's what
about six, it's about a 6 to 7 month turn.
exactly. And then we have the utmost trust in their abilities to be able to sell houses, right? Because part of it's building, the other thing is selling. And they have a really good track record of selling, and it's a really good place in Florida that has high demand. And he thinks he'll be able to. The
He,
goal is to
he's
actually
he's looking at
pre-sell it.
pre-selling. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Before it's built. And so by the time these expirations of these 0% comes, will more than likely already got the profits. And even then, if it doesn't, Mike has a way to get more credit cards for us to then transfer that balance to another 0% to buy myself another 12 months. And if we don't sell that house in 2 years, we're down. What are we doing? So yeah, just wanted to mention
We
that.
got to contact Maeli and have her come down. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You gotta
That's right.
contact the
Calling the
Nelson
big guns.
takeover. Yeah, call the big.
Looks like Kim has a question.
Sure, ask away.
I'll sell it for you guys.
Yeah, Kim's an agent as well. She'll sell it for you, she says.
hey, awesome.
There you go.
But yeah. So,
Okay, continue.
but we're just trying to express like it's super intelligent being a business owner, getting involved in business credit, understanding where your personal credit profile needs to be, how to optimize your credit profile. Like if you're leaving any money on the table, we've all heard that saying before. Um, and then knowing how to leverage your personal credit to get business credit. You need to start somewhere. And the best part about it is, guys, you're separating your personal from your business. If you max out a personal card, your personal credit will be affected. If you max out a business credit card, you still have good personal credit. You can still, God forbid, if something were to happen to you and you need to get a loan, God forbid, you need to take out money for something. You're not going to be in a position where, oh man, I maxed out this card and my credit dropped to
What'd you do for
640.
dinner?
So it's a benefit for you 100% to learn more as much as you can when it comes to business credit. Boom.
Yeah.
I'll just spell
Love
that.
it. Money.
Okay. Yeah. And so just to kind of end this whole thing, you can do multiple funding rounds, right? We just went through phase one. And then as we begin to get the returns from our initial investments in these property deals and some legal stuff, legal court cases that we're involved in, a bunch of some other things, we can then recycle that money, pay down the balances. Again, reputations and relationships is everything. At
Pay
the end of the
your
day,
bills.
if you're building your relationships and reputations over time is what's going to save you over the long term, right? And then we're going to do another funding round of, I think, maybe 3 months from now, maybe 4 months from now. We'll get we'll probably actually get more money because we're going to have more cash flow coming in. And then you just rinse and repeat. You can use the banks till you die. And so, OPM, other people's money, or in this case, OBM, other banks' money.
And I'm going to clarify here for Marcus. When you say court cases you're working on, not court cases that you're a party to, you're investing in funding people's court cases for a return. I know what's going on here, so I want to clarify that.
Yeah. If you guys want to know more about that, we'll tell you.
Yeah. So, guys, there's a few questions, but first, before we get into the question and answer section, some of the questions you'll answer just by doing this. So, if people want to get involved with you, like it's one thing. I mean, and you've taught us some awesome strategies here, some really cool points. But at the end of the day, one thing we talk about often in this community is we're investors. We're not credit repair experts. We're not attorneys. We're not accountants. We're not bookkeepers. We're investors. And so as investors, we should be focused on 5 things: finding, analyzing, negotiating, funding, and closing on deals. And all of the other things we should turn over to the professionals. And you guys are professionals here. So whether they want to go out and do it themselves, great. But if they want contact with a professional, how can they get in touch with you? How can they, well, what are your services cost? How can they get in touch and engage with you guys?
Yeah. So we have I can actually post our website in the chat here.
Yes,
Hold
please
on,
do.
give me 1 second. And then see. Oh. Or if anybody wants you can call me directly. You can actually call me at 561-350-0065. That's my personal number. If you guys want to talk about your credit profile and see where you sit, how fast you want to get funds, or how much you want to raise, That's what we generally discuss on those calls. We have different packages for different people. Um, and yeah, I'm,
So yeah, Allison and Coach Rowe, both of you are asking the same thing. Uh, do we only do credit cards or do we do locks as well? So the first stage is you want to maximize the 0%, right? 0% is a no-brainer. I wish everything borrowing money was 0%, right? Then the whole world would be sitting good. So we first exhaust all banking relationships for the initial first rounds for 0%. And then we look at doing locks, and then we have a private investor network, that if you're a high cash flowing business or if there's a really good deal that you bring to the table and you want to do kind of want to do like a 60-40 split, right? Private equity money raised and then finance the rest of the banks. So
yeah,
40% from private equity and 60% from banks.
I
And so
do.
like there's a lot of options, but like if you're just getting started and you're just, with
Yeah.
the whole program that Mitch Maeli put together, you would start 0% and then we'd move up from there.
So I
Does that
do
make
want to
sense?
add on. I do want to add on to that about locks. And that is also depending on where your business is. So like some banks aren't gonna issue locks if you're under 2 years. So like being in business longer than 2 years and then showing a certain amount of revenue. There are some banks that don't care about how long you've been in business, but then their locks go up to a certain threshold, and then after that they require you to have certain banking uh information that you can send to them. So like tax returns for yourself for the last few years and your business. They're going to just start asking for more things, or ask to, attach themselves to your bank account like through Plaid, and they're going to do an audit on your last 12 months of bank statements. That's generally the way that they're going now instead of asking for tax returns because it doesn't really show the whole picture. So they're asking you to, oh, can you link through Plaid, and then they'll do the audit, and generally you have offers now as little as like same day. They'll send you out an offer.
I love
But
the way
Even
you guys are.
SBA,
I love the way you guys
the
are doing this
SBA
too,
also.
because the 0% lines of credit. I mean, one of the strategies, Mike. I know you've kind of been briefed on this strategy, Marcus. I don't think yet, but we need to have a conversation about this. But velocity banking. I mean, velocity banking is a strategy that, as real estate investors, like I think every one of us are using it for our personal finances, but once we get into like paying off mortgages and being able to balance transfer chunks of that mortgage principal onto 0% lines and paying it down through the lines, that's huge, right? That's huge to paying off that amortized interest on our rental portfolios. So, guys, this is a great opportunity to go out and get big chunks of 0% interest, and even when it does convert to interest bearing, it's simple interest, right? But these are lines of credit, whether they're credit cards or actual full blown lines of credit. Like these are tools to be able to go out and do velocity banking as well. So I love that.
yeah, you know what? It's funny because like some of the things like through like velocity banking, like you were just saying, like we've had people who just barely make it over a threshold where they can get a loan to pay down their personal credit, and then they go and turn over to business credit. We raise some money, and then they pay off the loan at 0%, and now they're just financing a 0% interest loan that they just got to get them in a position. So that people are doing this. We're doing it for
But I
people.
did. It's awesome. Like
Yeah.
it's so amazing. I can't complain.
Like
And I will
in
say that it's a
the
process.
Oh yeah,
What?
100%.
The SBA loans
Yeah,
also.
SBA loans are great. Like
Yeah.
if you can qualify for an SBA loan, there's like micro SBA loans you can get for up to $50,000 if you have a good idea. Like they're financing like everything. They do things for like 20 years. I think if I didn't haven't checked in a minute, but they started interest rates at like 3.5. It was crazy.
3.75, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then also keep an eye out for the EIDL loans that they're giving out, disaster loans that, they'll find it. Like you can get money from everywhere, guys. Like
Yeah.
having your ear to the ground. There's certain, yeah, EIDL loans. I had a client come on board. He started a rental car company, and he had a real estate business, and it really took a shit because it got hit during a hurricane. So he used an EIDL loan. He got 249K on an EIDL loan and started an exotic rental car company.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's just like, but
I,
utilizing what you have to get something else. Like there's opportunity everywhere.
That's actually a dream of mine. I want to start an exotic rental car company. I
Yeah, I
mean,
can help
I buy a bunch of exotic cars and write them off and make income off of them. That
You
would
want
be
to hear
awesome.
something? You
That
want
would
to
be
hear
awesome.
something? You want to hear something awesome? Even more awesome than that?
I'd
There's
love to.
there's banks out there that actually will help finance exotic cars over 20 years, so that
Oh wow.
you're not paying a lot of money on a monthly.
Oh
Most
wow.
people don't know that
That's
either.
cool.
So we did the math on $120,000 car. Normally it would cost like 4,500 or something monthly, and it came down to like 1,800 on a month.
That's awesome.
And to leverage that and to use that car example, like if you want to get access to like more higher net worth individuals buying a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or something like this to get the car clubs in like Miami, San Diego, so you can start networking with other wealthy people, more business opportunities come from that, right? So you don't look at it as like, oh, I'm buying a car to no, you're using it as a tool. It's an investment vehicle in this sense to give you access to higher net worth people so that you can maybe do potential deals and you can expand the network.
And and to add on to that, you don't need to, that's not your everyday car. You can rent it out on Toro and get a return on the car that you have.
Yep.
Also, using it strategically for those days that okay, I'm networking on the 8th, I'm networking on the 16th. But you guys got to, it's like, start thinking like that. That's how we help our clients
I've
think.
got a real
That's
problem
what
though.
we do.
I have a
Tool,
$130,000
it's a
sports
tool, not
car.
an ego booster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I have a problem though. I have a $130,000 sports car, and I can't help but daily it.
I
Like the
mean,
only time I don't drive it is if it's snowing.
you're just
Yeah.
those type
I'll
of
do that.
people, I guess. It's okay.
I just rack up the miles on that because it's so fun to drive. Right? We got to drive it every day.
Actually, you have nothing on my $130,000 car has way more miles on it than yours does.
Yeah,
So
that's
just
true.
so you know.
That's awesome. But yeah, you
But
guys can strategically do these types of things. See, like that's what I'm trying to say. Like our group of experts, we look at things so you guys can save money
yeah.
to do
And
this.
make
Yeah, and make money. Like, it
I will
could be
say
out
a
of.
couple
Go ahead.
couple things. So like what people don't recognize, and this is where I do have experience because I've played this game, right? And what people don't recognize is that if you don't follow exactly what they're saying, it's down to the decimal. It really is. Like they understand the game that they're playing. Just like if you're an expert in whatever field you are in, right? Like if you are that person and you're like, well, but I know all this. Great. Stay in your lane. Mitch says this all the time, right? Aces in their places. And had I not had someone guide me through exactly how to set up I needed a landline. Shut the front door. Who has a landline anymore? Right? Just stupid things to be like, yeah, you're a real business, right? Like being
Yeah,
able to have a website, digitally create one. AI does one now in 3 minutes, right? Cool, whatever. Like just have all your assets ready to go and they'll give you that guidance. And then once you're ready to deploy funds, because they're going to have a conversation with you, right? And then what's going to happen is you're going to build now your portfolio. You're going to build your profile to look like you're doing exactly what these banks want you to do. End of story. Yes?
exactly.
Right?
100%.
And
That's what
then as soon as
playbook.
the banks are like, wait a second, this is bougie. Like this is like these people deserve my money. Now the doors just open. And you can keep coming back, keep playing this game, and you guys are the experts. And that's it. It's like, why? And I have people come to me all the time, right? Like, actually, we had this conversation before we started this actual Zoom call, right? So I was like, okay, well, but like, here, hold on. Like, I have so many people that reach out to me and be like, how did you get $250,000 of 0% lines of credit in just your business, credit, only using your DUNS number? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And I try and go, I'm not the expert here. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hire
Like,
an
let me
expert.
be very honest. I know what I did, and I can kind of like show them my path, but realistically, what they do need is someone to just do it for them. Because you can, make no mistake, you can try and figure it out. And I've had a few people go, oh my gosh, Bailey, I got $50,000, 0% in with my DUNS number. Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about DUNS number and what kind of sharks those people are?
Yeah, I mean, Dunn's number is a credit bureau, of course.
Mhm.
They do the Paydex score. Having above an 80 Paydex score is generally what banks want to see.
What is that? And enlighten us. Nobody knows
So,
what that is.
so a Paydex score is like your business credit score through the Duns and Bradstreet. That's what the Duns number or Duns is, Duns and Bradstreet. Those are generally done through like net 30 accounts, store credit cards and things of that nature. Paying off a net 30. A net 30 is like if you I don't know if you guys ever heard of Granger or Quill. You pretty much go to these places, you set
It's
up
like
an
a
account.
Uline kind of thing.
Yeah, Uline is another one, but you set up
Supplies. They
accounts.
sell like paper clips and staples and
Yeah,
computer
Oh.
like
the
stuff like physical.
what they'll do is you set up an account with them and you purchase things on their site, and then you have 30 days to pay off that bill, and that's why they call it a net 30. You have other accounts that are net 60. They have some that are net 90s, but the ones that build your credit profile, your Duns and Bradstreet Paydex score, is generally those accounts.
Yeah.
To add on top of that, if
Gas
you have
cards too.
yeah, gas cards are also another one. If
Oh.
you have great credit on the personal side, and then you let's say get a Chase credit card. Chase shares information with all other business credit bureaus. So you'll have your Equifax, you'll have your Experian, your Small Business Financial Exchange, you'll have your Equifax business, you'll have your Duns and Bradstreet. They share with two other ones. But getting into those tier one banks like we were speaking about earlier, they share more information with more business credit bureaus, which will increase your business credit worthiness. So there's multiple ways to increase your Paydex score. But the most common where people, most common is the net 30s. And they have minimum limits that need to be spent on those accounts as well. Some are like $50 a month, some are $100 a month for them to actually report that you're doing those transactions. If you do
Right.
under that, they generally won't report.
Yeah.
So each and they also have, if you go on their site and you're like, oh, what's the limit? They have guidelines, and they show you how to do it right on the site as well if you're interested in that.
And this is back to what we were saying and what Mitch says all the time, though. It's like aces in their places, right? And it's this whole concept of, hold on, you guys have been doing this for how long?
I've been in finance, like I was in business investment banking for Chase. Like I've worked with banks my whole life. Been doing this probably in the finance industry close to 10 years now.
Yeah. So, and that's totally, so this is what I just wanted to say is literally so many people come to me, right? And it's like, oh, well, can you just show me how you did it? I'm like, no, I paid somebody. I don't freaking have time for
I didn't
that.
do it.
Are you kidding me?
I hired an expert.
Like, what?
Yeah, I
No,
called this
paid
number
somebody.
and they.
You go pay somebody. This is not how this goes down. Like, and if you want to go do it, there are, like you just said, and I love that you're so transparent. It's like, yeah, go to their website. Like,
Yeah.
you're being so transparent. It's like they give you all the guidelines. They tell you exactly what they're looking for, how to achieve what they want. You're giving everyone like
Oh
the
yeah.
golden nuggets of a lifetime. But also, people, if you're like, what? Like, just tell me what to do, right? Just tell me what I have to do. Like, give me a freaking line item. Like, check. Do I have a website? Do I have this? Right? Whatever the BS is. And then it's like, oh, okay. Within X amount of time, I can now have $250,000. Why wouldn't you pay a whatever fee? And we haven't even talked about that. But like, I think and this is before I met you guys, and I'm so grateful that now you get to control my stuff and like we keep leveling up because I mean I paid like $13,000 my first go around. Yeah, I did. I
So
totally did.
did they cover all fees? Like, did they set up the accounts and make the payments and all that kind of stuff?
Oh hell no.
Or that was just what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was just simply like you do
about right.
what we tell you, right? And that's fine, right? Like you do what we say, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And legit, I told Mitch, I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to disappear for like 3 days. Don't talk to me. Right? Like I was like, I am buried into this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make it happen. And then 3 days later, I'm like, okay, like I think I'm ready, and then they did their freaking magic, but this is the sad part. They still haven't reached back out to do another one. And you said you could do it every 6 months.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
We got Mike and Marcus on the team now.
Well, yeah, for sure. No, yes, like I'm just grateful and I'm showing that I have had a very similar experience and I know that it works. I mean, why wouldn't I pay $13,000 to get $250,000? Like,
And I say that all the time too.
I'm
Like
like,
the
duh.
first person you need to invest in is yourself. Like
Boom.
you gotta do stuff for yourself. We pay. I'm gonna let you guys know. Like I've spent so much money on knowledge, and it's just because like you cannot. It's like you work with an expert. You're not gonna see the T's crossed and the I's dotted. They know what they're doing. There's a lot of leaders in this industry that they're constantly putting out content, constantly doing reviews on banks, constantly doing a lot of the hard work, and then my due diligence on the work that they're doing because like they have more time than I do, but I verify everything and I read everything, and it's just like you would spend a lot of time and a lot of your resources into something that I've spent a lot of my life doing.
Yep.
So
If you think it's expensive hiring an expert, try hiring an amateur, because
Hey, that
we're
was
all
my
amateurs,
life.
right? We're amateur credit experts, and gosh, if we try doing it, we're probably going to mess it up and have to hire you anyway. And that way, it's just more expensive. We pay for it twice, right? So
Of course.
that's
You're
my
gonna pay for
attitude.
this
That's
twice.
Mitch, that's the interesting thing is like when you do the applications, right? If you do the application wrong, you might have to wait another months to be able to do it again, right?
Yeah.
And because you forgot to put in the NASIC code, you put the wrong NASIC code in, or you didn't put your annual revenue or your personal income properly. Like it also takes is one little thing for you to f up, and then you're after for 6 months,
Yep.
just sitting there waiting to do it again.
Yep.
So
I love
Yep.
it. Guys, that's so gcgrowth.io, correct?
yeah.
Go to their website,
exactly.
check them out, connect with them, network with them, and if you're so inclined, hire them to do what they're doing for me and Maeli and what they've done for so many others in the past. Now, I want to open this up to some questions. So first off, before I do that, I just want to point out, guys, again, these are great velocity banking tools, and I know a lot of you on the call, you're all in on your education. You're going through the 4-phase plan. Some of you, you're about to the point where it's time to start looking at getting into phase 2, getting into phase 3. If you've been looking for the way to do that, velocity banking is the way to do that. In order to do velocity banking, you need to have lines of credit, whether it's credit cards, these lines. This is a great way to be able to continue your education. And then those lines are still there when you pay them off. It's when it's time to start getting into some real estate, like let's go do it. So whether it's you're looking to get into the next deal or you're looking to get to the next level of your education, give these guys a call. They can help out. So let's open this up to some questions. So I know we had some questions in the chat. I want to encourage you guys, come off mute. Let's interact with these guys. Let us know. The time is yours, everybody. Let's come off mute and ask our questions. I'll be monitoring the chat on both YouTube and on Zoom here. But time is yours. Feel free.
I had a question about the lines of credit, the business lines of credit.
Yep.
So what exactly do they ask for when you're applying? And I know you probably went over a lot of it. I was just finishing up in coaching, and so I didn't hear everything. But what kind of documentation do they ask for?
So depending on how much you're asking for, it also varies depending on bank, but the most common things, they want to see that you've been in business longer than 2 years. They also generally so I'm going to put it in a general perspective because it depends on the bank. They will ask to see revenue on a monthly basis being anywhere from like 5 to about 30,000 on a monthly basis. So in deposits, and then they'll ask for tax returns on the personal and the business.
Okay. Do you ever work with nonprofits?
I have not worked with any recent, but I know how to get money for them.
Sure, that'd be awesome. Okay. Yeah, I just a line of credit would be helpful for us as well. I mean, we've been around for a long time, and we have all of the records. I was just curious what and we have real estate, so it's
Even
that
better.
we're in that have. So I just didn't know what banks typically ask for. And you said some of them have 0% for a period of time, like they do with cards. who's doing that? Like which banks are offering the 0% lines
So
of credit?
so the locks aren't they're not offering any 0% interest lines of credit. So
Oh,
you
okay,
would
I
you would
misunderstood.
yeah, you would only get 0% on uh the credit cards. So
The
there are
cards, okay.
yeah, there's a plethora of banks that give 0% on cards, and sometimes they even give limits higher than they would lines of credit. So like again, like I've seen people get approved on a Chase account for 44,500 0% interest for a year. And then
Mhm.
he used half of it, and then 12 months came. We got him another 12 months with an additional 32,000. So there's
Nice.
like just knowing how to do that the right way, like it'll go a lot further than a line of credit. Sometimes they have you pay fees to draw from the money. So there's like for if you want to get a more bang for your buck, I would still suggest going for 0% interest first and then getting into a line of credit after, depending on if that's what you want to go, or we can continue looking at other banks if you're, the, the entity can support what it is that we're doing, and then yeah,
Sure.
it's just continued like that.
Awesome.
In my opinion, a lock is better used for a high cash flowing month to month business, right? Where you
Yeah.
don't care if you're drawing down each time, if maybe your interest rate's a little bit higher, you don't care because you're making 2 3 times that money because you have your cash flowing super high. If you're not, because we have a client that we're working with, they do like, what is it, 6 million a year or 12 million a year? Whatever he's
So
doing.
we have a client that does 6 million a year, and he's
Yeah,
averaging in just merchant transactions
yeah.
about anywhere from 300,000 up to like 1.2, depending on the month.
Wow.
So a
And
lock for him
yeah, a
makes
lock for
sense.
him would make sense because like he can pull out of it. His profit margin is about 30%, so he can take like a 2.5% hit on that month and know he's gonna pay it back
Yeah.
within the month. So it's just like knowing where you sit on a cash flow perspective is kind of like
Mhm.
the instrument or the tool you want to use.
Yeah, I actually just had to do this because I had one of our buildings that needed a lot of work, like emergency work that cost like 30 grand, and
Yep.
my cash is tied up. It is tied up. It won't be forever, but it is tied up. And
Yep.
so um I went and got a credit card that I could put my monthly like utilities, that type of thing on it because the contractors didn't take credit cards. So I had to free up my cash to
hmm
pay the contractors. And so I just started putting my monthly expenses on my card so that I could pay off the
So
contractors.
I wanna give you some insight on a way you can liquidate credit cards and pay potentially these workers.
Mhm.
There's a website called Plastique. I think it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you the proper spelling because I always botch it.
I'll
So
get it. Put it in the chat. Just keep talking.
okay, so Plastique, you can actually pay bills with credit cards. Like if they don't take credit cards, they'll actually send them a cashier's check.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay,
So
I just put it in the group chat for everybody.
but yeah, that's something I want to tell everybody in here because you guys want to pull money off these cards. If it's going towards a institution, they're gonna ask you questions. They're gonna send you an invoice, right?
Okay, great.
Generally, they send you an invoice, and you can pay it like this, and they can do next day payment.
That's cool.
Wow. So like mortgages you can't pay with
So
um could you use that for a mortgage?
I would have
You
to
can
see. No, actually, yes, you
you
can.
can use it for rent. So if
You
that's
can.
the same thing in this case, then I would
Yeah,
think so.
you can pay your mortgage on it as well. You can
Yeah.
pay. I have people paying payroll on this. They're utilizing ADP. They're literally just attaching their credit card service, and there's discounts on this for using their service. So that's another thing. So if you guys are getting money through these credit cards, use this tool to pay mortgages, to pay your servicers. See
Perfect for
what
velocity
options are on
banking
there.
too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other, I mean, beautiful thing, I love using credit cards as my lines of credit because first off, 0%, right? Like you said, you can't get 0% anywhere else. Where else are you gonna get free money? So I'm kind of re-upping my zeros every 6 months or so. But also, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is rewards points.
Oh
Guys,
yeah.
that's free money, and it's tax-free money too. It's like free, right? Like that's awesome. So
That's that.
if you've got
Rabbit.
high expenditures in your business, and Melee and I, we do 8 to 10 fix and flips at a time. we're spending like $250,000 a month on just construction stuff, right? So
Yep.
so we're racking up those points and we're using them for personal travel. We're using it to pay down our personal credit cards so that we don't distribute ourselves as much and have a higher income tax bill. Like there's so many ways you can use those free points, and guys, it's it's awesome. I would definitely start using those.
I want to tap in there for you, right? I know some of these co-branded cards, they're not 0% interest, but if you have a 0% interest, like with Chase, right, on the business, you can actually, they have like one of the best points conversion system. So you can move points around if you have I think it's the Chase Premium Sapphire or something like that. You can actually, if you have points on a different card, you can start moving it and using it in other facets. So super smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And not only that, co-branded cards, if you just want to use it as a benchmark for yourself when it comes to getting more credit, they generally give higher limits as well.
I love
So
it.
points
I have a
and higher limits.
I have a question about utilization because I think that's why I have like it goes between like 750, 780. But I think that I can't get it higher because of my utilization because of the 0% credit cards that I have. And when you open up a business card, you also have to give your personal information for that business card. How does
The
that
ones that
affect?
you took
I mean,
out, are they personal? The ones that you took out to help
not
you?
the one that I just took out for the business was a
Yeah.
business card, like a
So
business card for 0%, but I also had it on my own. And so mine, I have several, and because I'm at like 40% utilization, then my credit score is just going to stick, I think, at 750. It's not going to
which
go anywhere.
which card was it?
Which cards do I have? I
No,
have
the one
several.
the one that you were just speaking about.
Oh,
Those-
for the business card that was 0%. Let me look just a second.
So here's a good touch point while she's looking for that. So there are some cards that report to personal and business. One of those is the Capital One Spark. Don't get that card and then try to max it out. It's gonna report on your utilization on your personal credit.
Yep.
Okay.
I have that card. I made that mistake. I made that
Um,
mistake. But
I
I
have
understand.
the ink card.
The Chase Ink.
The,
So
the Chase Ink.
so if your credit score dropped, it's probably because of the inquiry that you got. That would be the only thing that would be
Well, no,
affecting
it
it.
didn't drop because of that. I was just curious as to whether they report or not. It didn't
Nope.
drop. I think I just can't move it. I can't get it up because I think I have
What's your
personal
personal?
cards that
Yeah.
are
What's your
0%.
personal? What's your
Yeah.
personal utilization cards look like? Is that where you're at your 40% on the personal side?
Yes, that's my personal side.
Then
Yeah.
there you go.
So
Hit
you
that
want
below
to
10.
keep it below 10. So if you
Yeah,
can
I
keep
was like, I don't know how I couldn't right now because I don't have, I just couldn't because I mean, I guess I could if it was that important, but my other lines of credit, I'm paying, anywhere from like 8% to 12%. I have two other large lines of credit that I can draw from, but I don't want to pay the interest if I can get a card for 0%. And I don't really care that my credit's at 750 because it doesn't keep me from doing anything. And I get 0% money.
Yeah, 100%. If anything, I would transfer all that 0% onto some business credit cards.
Yep.
Like if you can
That's a really good
take it,
percent.
if you could take that 40% and then you said you got a 0% interest credit card, I would move that over, pay no interest on
Yeah.
that, and then
I
get more
never
money
thought
after
about
that.
that. Yeah, because
That's a
I
good-
can't do it under I have to keep that separate, my personal and the nonprofit separate, but I could pull out, like just set up a business credit card for myself, like on a separate LLC that I have.
Exactly. That sounds
Okay.
like a great idea. And then go with
Speaking of LLCs, you need to tell them about the corporations. We forgot
yeah.
about that.
I was gonna say if you have an LLC, it's always smart to make it a C corporation, like a corporation. In the eyes of the banks, you're looked at as more trustworthy. It's
As a
just
corporation.
that,
Oh, okay.
yeah, as a corporation. So if you have an LLC, if you want to convert it into like a C corporation and then do that play, or even if you start a new LLC, start it as a corporation, and then you will get access to more money as well. So
It's weird. This is how it works.
yeah, but balance transferring is super smart. Don't like we're in the business of not paying interest. We're not here to pay the banks. And if you can
Are you
have
gonna take?
0%, it's the smartest thing to go. Smartest thing to do.
Great questions. Thank you, Charlotte. Any other questions? Well, we got these guys. I mean, let's pick their brains. Experts right here.
Whatever you guys want to know.
Yeah. Open season for Q&A. There's no dumb question, by the way. If any of you are like, oh, I don't want to answer, I feel like I'm stupid or dumb. I was there not too long ago, so there's no dumb questions here. So really let them fly.
Hey, I have a question. This is Allison.
Hey, Alex.
So I actually already sent you a text because I want to schedule a call with you because I want to open up more lines of credit or 0% interest for my business. The rate of your services, is it like a sliding scale depending on like what kind of service I'm wanting, or is that just something that I'm going to talk with you about personally on our phone call?
So it's a one-to-one it's one-on-one. So when we sit
Okay.
down, we'll talk about our options and what you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
Wonderful.
What business are you in?
What business am I in? I'm a coach and consultant.
And she's
Very
really
nice.
good at it.
Yeah, I'm damn good at it. And I just would love
Bet that
0%.
spend
I
was-
love to have between 100 and 250,
Awesome.
either in lines of credit or in different credit cards, just to help with more investing and payroll and cash flow and all of that fun stuff right now.
Sweet.
Awesome. So on the personal side, what would you say? What's your credit score, if you don't mind sharing?
It's what, 720,
Perfect. Yeah,
something like that.
That's a great spot. If anybody wants to know, a good position to start really getting into business credit is about a 700 and up.
Sweet. And I've been in business 12 years,
Even better.
and I'm a real business. So
What's your personal utilization? You under 10%?
no, my personal utilization is high. I've got a Venmo credit card that's at 20,000, and I rack it up and then I pay it off, and then I rack it up and then I pay it off because it's got cashback rewards on it.
Okay.
But my utilization on that thing is high,
So
but I do pay it off every month.
What I would say, check your statement date and make sure you pay it down before statement date, so you can just keep that same cycle you're doing, but do it prior to them reporting that limit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it'll get you in a good position to consistently get more money. You don't want them
Okay.
to report balances on your credit report, because then they see that like, oh, she continues to hold balances. It's not a good trend. But if you do it at the right time, like if you max it out and pay it off 5 days before statement date, they're not reporting that to the credit bureau, and you're good.
It's an
And you can
unfortunate attribute of how credit is reported, but it's also a loophole that we can exploit if we use it as a strategy. Is they're just taking a snapshot once every 30 days, right?
Yep.
So if we're racking it up and paying it down, or racking up and paying it down, like that's actually a really good thing. But if you're not timing that right, it's gonna just look like you have this revolving balance that you've never paid off, right? So
Exactly.
so you, as long as you're timing that right, you're using it to your advantage. But if you're not timing it right, it's hurting you.
Yep.
So if you
100%.
pay your bill at the end of the month in full, it's still reporting a balance?
If you pay it in
So-
full before your statement date, and sorry, I don't mean to steal your thunder, Mike. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
if you
good.
pay it before your statement date, it'll report as a zero balance. Even if you kept it at 30 grand all month and then paid it off the last day before your statement, it'll report as zero. Am I correct here?
Yep.
But
Right, so you just pay when it's due and
No.
it doesn't report.
No, so you don't want to. You generally don't. You have your statement date and then your due date. So your statement date comes first. So it's me. So your statement date is me telling you, okay, you owe $1,000, and that's what we reported to the credit bureau, and then you pay it down. You want to make your payments prior to that statement date, because that's the reporting date of your credit, not the payment.
Not the
The
due
payment
date.
will the payment will be seen on the following month as a payment that went through, but you're still holding a balance for that whole month because that's what the statement said.
So it's like usually, correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually 5 to 6 days before your actual due date to
Yeah.
make the payment.
Oh, it's only a couple of days before. Okay. The
Yeah,
statement
it's
date is
like
only 2 days
5 to 6 days before, and it'll tell you, like, actually, you should get an email, right? Like, if you set it up correctly, it'll say, here's your statement. Like, that's the day that they're telling you, hey, just so you know, your statement is ready. Okay, that's the day you actually have to pay it then.
Before that,
Yep.
Because
yeah.
then that's when the credit bureau is about to be like, here you go, this is what is the case, right? Or is
Yep.
it
That-
before that?
No, that's generally what it is. So
Okay.
if you don't pay it before payment statement date, that's what they're reporting. So they don't care anymore that the payment
Yeah.
date is coming 5 days after.
By the time they've
reported
told
it.
you, they've also told the credit bureau.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's too late.
paying it off before the statement date. Just keep a calendar of when your statement dates are, and just be like, all right, I'm paying it off 5 days before that.
And really, it's only the first month that you make that shift from due date to statement date, because after that, you've just slid the scale forward 5 days.
Yep.
Right. So it's
Everything's on auto pay.
from then on out, it's the same amount of time that you get to have that revolving balance. It's just that first month of making that adjustment, and then from then on out, you're playing you're playing that loophole.
You're playing the game.
Yeah.
You're really that's what you're doing. You're playing the game.
And that's what we talk about all the time, right? I mean, finances is a game. Capitalism's a game. And the best way to win a game is a good strategy.
Yes, sir. I agree.
These are great questions.
And, and also if you work with us, we're going to help you set that up. Of course, we would sit down and talk about all of this. And then we want to make sure that all of your personal information is right. So like going to all of your bank accounts and all of your credit cards and making sure it matches with what's on your ID. Making sure your address is done correctly, because those also known as, I don't know if anyone here has looked at their credit profile. You don't want to be also known as Mitch G. Nelson. That's
Who's
not
that
him.
guy?
Yeah,
I actually
you know
have
what
one
I'm
on
saying?
there. It's Mitch L. Nelson. I have one on my credit report. I noticed that the other day. That's funny you say that.
Those little mistakes, just so you guys know, can be the difference between 5 points on your credit profile too. So like being very thorough with the information you put on your credit report. You can always call any bureau and let them know, hey, I have alternate names on my credit profile that I want to remove. There's a lot of things you can do to do things yourself. I know it may be a bit intimidating, speaking to the credit bureaus or these individuals, but like just get on the phone with them. Just like, hey, my name is blah blah blah, and they'll verify you, and you'll be like, all right, I'm looking at my credit report. This isn't my name. This isn't my name. I don't live there. I don't know what address that is, and they'll generally just dispute it for you, and it'll get removed. But
There's one last thing I want to make sure everyone sees. If you look at the group chat, everybody that we work with, we need you to have an account with Identity IQ, right? And this is also going to give you a very in-depth overview of your credit profile, so you can see with what Michael
what we're talking about.
saying. And yeah, exactly. So I pay I think the $29.99 is at the gold.
Yeah,
So I don't know what it is.
that will give you an update every 30 days on what your credit report looks like. It's like the most comprehensive. I would say just get the $29.99 one, and
Whether
you're
you
not
work
gonna be
with us or
upset.
not,
Yeah.
use this. Get the subscription, and so you're on top of your game, and you're able to monitor, and you can mitigate fires ahead of time instead of like, oh shit, now what type thing, right? So
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a great tool if God forbid you get a collections. The faster you see it, the faster you can take care of it and get it removed. The longer you let it linger, the longer people aren't gonna want to help you. So that's just another thing. I can go on for days, guys. So I'm just I'll let it rock.
Well, we're getting to the end of the night, guys. This was such valuable content. Thank you so much. I hope all of you out there learned as much as I did tonight, because this was awesome. And I know Maeli and I, we have a new direction. We're going to be talking here probably tomorrow. I know Marcus and Mike and I talk every day. So we are going to be talking tomorrow, but we're going to be talking about this as well. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. And thank you for sharing the incredible value and the incredible knowledge you have with our awesome team. I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say thank you.
Thank
Guys,
you, Mitch.
absolutely. And you're welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you guys anytime. So, guys, just a refresher on our announcements. So we have We've got our mastermind coming up tomorrow. We got nationals coming up. Reach out to us if you need information on any of that stuff. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, stay hungry to go out and do some real estate. We will see you all next week at the same time, at the same place. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.